So I was watching a nature documentary, specifically Dynasties 2 on Discovery Plus. One thing about me, love a nature documentary. And in Dynasties 2, I think it was episode 2, which was about the emperor penguins, I learned that female emperor penguins lose up to a quarter of their body weight during the gestation process, getting ready to birth the egg, to lay their egg. And I said, oh my goodness, that is insane. But then I didn't think that was insane because I was also like, the amount of things that female bodies have to go through in order to produce the next generation of insert species here is already insane. But then it got me wondering, how much energy does it actually take to reproduce? And turns out, I wasn't the only one asking this question. Thank you, Carissa. How much energy does it take to make a baby? Researchers are rethinking what they know. Basically, it is greatly underestimated the amount of energy that it takes to make a baby. And there's a couple of things in this article that I really want us to dive into, so let's start. First, hi, my name is Shayna. I'm a journalist. I talk a lot about decentering men and child-free living on this platform. If any of that sounds like a vibe, please like, share, and subscribe. If you think you're subscribed, please double check. People have been getting removed from the community in startling numbers, so just double check. Also, if you would like to book a one-on-one call with me, learn how you could write for money or become a journalist, or join the Patreon community, all of the information for that is in the description. But now, let's dive into this. We are not going to read this entire article, but there are a couple of key points in here that I do really want us to discuss. We're going to start off with this sentence right above me. The extra energy it takes a human to produce a baby could be as much as 24 times more than some influential mathematical models had estimated, suggest Marshall and his colleagues in a study published in May. And that was May of last year, 2024. I really want us to just take a moment to think about if half of the amount of energy that was put into forcing women and people with uteruses to give birth, half of that energy was put into researching the tolls that it's so easy. Oh my God, just have a baby. You know what? Like, I think I just want a baby. I don't know. Somebody tell me, should I have a baby? If half of the amount of research was put into this let's use an analogy, right? Men love their cars. They love their big old vroom vrooms, right? They put all of this energy into figuring out how to create cars, make them shinier, make them faster, make them louder, make them booga harder than they ever could before, right? And they also put a lot of energy into figuring out, okay, well, how much energy is it going to take for this car to vroom vroom? How much money is it going to cost for this car to vroom vroom in the way that I want it to? Okay, so there's all this research that's done. They compare the stats, they have accurate numbers, and they say, okay, well, as much as I would like to vroom vroom, I don't have the amount of money or resources or the ability to provide the energy that this car needs to vroom vroom in the way that I want. Thus, I guess no vroom vroom for me. Now imagine that somebody says, you know what, no matter what, I want to vroom vroom. I don't care about the numbers because I'm going to assume that they're accurate. And I am going to put down $100 for this new fancy vroom vroom. And then imagine that you are off by 24 times the amount. And you say, I only have $100. And they say, that's too bad. Your insurance payments are coming in tomorrow. You wouldn't buy a house if it cost 24 times more than you are able to afford it. But guess what? We are off by as much as, I'm sorry. And also that number could change. People just started looking into this last year. But also, let's just break this down a little bit more. These models estimate that the energy requirements of reproduction have often overlooked or underestimated the amount of energy spent by mothers in making and carrying their young, sometimes referred to as the indirect cost of reproduction, as opposed to the direct cost, the energy invested and stored in the offspring. It is akin to assuming that the energy needed to make a donut is equal to the calories in the donut itself, and ignoring the fuel required to cook it. You want to talk about unpaid labor? You want to talk about the division of labor in the house? Do you want to talk about, like, this It's the same concept throughout the entirety of our existence. But for the people that might not fully understand it, I'm going to use a quick Google search is going to help us break this down. So let's just hop over there and all right, let's read this. The indirect cost of reproduction refers to the negative impacts on an individual's survival and future reproductive success resulting from current reproductive efforts. These costs are indirect because they don't directly involve the energy or resources invested in producing offspring, but rather the effect that the organism's ability to survive and reproduce in the future. So let's just continue. Direct versus indirect costs. While direct costs of reproduction are the resources immediately used to produce and nourish offspring, example, energy for the egg or sperm production, gestation, parental care. Indirect costs are the consequences of those efforts and that affect the parent's own well-being and the future reproductive potential. And then a quick example that I am covering, survival costs. The female mammal might experience a shorter lifespan or increased vulnerability to predators due to the psychological stress of pregnancy and lactation. This continues on, but I think that we have enough here to continue this discussion because yes, for female mammal in the wild, it might cause a shorter lifespan and all of that. For humans, people that are pregnant who are human, being pregnant, the number one killer of pregnant people are men. Pregnancy is an incredibly dangerous process in general, which is a direct cost of pregnancy. People become disabled through pregnancy all the time. People and then you have the medical system on top of that, especially if you're a melanated person, especially if you're a black person that has to navigate this medical system while being pregnant. That is all a direct cost, right? And then you have the indirect cost, which is oftentimes our lives. But not just that, within the society, pregnant people, and mind you, it shouldn't be legal, but also it happens all the time where pregnant people lose their jobs, they lose housing, they're subject to abuse. Like these are costs that are put directly onto pregnant people during the most sensitive time in their lives. And we're just supposed to be like, oh, well, just get pregnant, just have a baby. We need an extra worker or two. Or like, oh, you just make such a cute baby, I think that you should. These are the direct and indirect costs, and we just started researching this. But then on top of that, pregnancy in humans costs an extra 208,000 kilojoules or 50,000 kilocalories, according to study estimates. Now, I don't know about you, but I can't even fathom how many calories that is. So let's break that down. So before we get into the numbers, like the big numbers, let's just focus on this one right here. Let's not forget that this is 50,000 kilocalories, thousand. So you add an extra 3 zeros behind this one, and now we're cooking with grease. Now, mind you, this is not energy consumed. This is the amount of energy it takes to create a baby. So just a quick Google search. I was like, okay, jumping jacks. We all know what a jumping jack is. How many jumping jacks would it take to burn 50,000 kilocalories? Here's the number. Jumping jacks needed. If one jumping jack burns approximately 0.1 calories, then 50 million calories would require 500 million jumping jacks. It takes approximately 500 million jumping jacks worth of energy to make a baby. And you want me to make one willy-nilly when we just started figuring out how much? I'm gonna calm down, but I want to hear y'all thoughts. Sound off in the comments and send this to anybody that's trying to be like, oh my God, you should just have a baby. It's so cute. Oh, we could take the cutest little Christmas picture. Send this to them. That's all for now. Stay safe out there.